Hey, what's up guys? It's Nick from Fit Futures here with yet another answer to yet another question. Our question comes from Rebecca. Rebecca's question today is, Nick, I've just fallen pregnant, what can I do training-wise? Well, Rebecca, firstly, from everybody here at Fit Futures, a massive congratulations to you and your partner. We hope that everything goes well with your pregnancy. Now, what can you do from a training sense? Well, first and foremost, see your midwife and or your doctor and get cleared medically. Obviously, there's a lot of things that can go wrong with pregnancies, and so you want to make sure that you're not necessarily exacerbating any issues that may already be present. So gain medical clearance first, always. And to the practitioners out there, make sure that that's what you're encouraging with any pregnant clientele that you have. So I'm going to assume now that you've got the medical clearance and there's no reason whatsoever that you can't do any form of physical training. Now I'm going to start off with the benefits of training first. Research has demonstrated that if you adhere to a resistance training program prenatal, you can experience 20% less weight gain, a reduction in low back pain, an increase in mood and self-esteem and body image as a result of those things, and a reduced risk and incidence of gestational diabetes. So there is tons of reasons as to why you should be training if you are pregnant, assuming of course that you can, medically speaking. Now, obviously, pregnancies are split into 3 trimesters. The first trimester is impacted somewhat by the fact that you'll be experiencing some nausea and some fatigue, and that needs to be taken into consideration from a training perspective because that can of course impact on how often you train, how long you train for, and what the training intensity is. My recommendation would be to err on the side of caution with respect to those 3 training variables. Now in the second trimester, that is when you'll probably gain a little bit of weight, and your posture will change a little bit, which can affect center of gravity and things like that, impacting on balance and stability. So those are a couple of concerns as well. Now, what are the actual training recommendations? Well, in the first trimester, you can pretty much do most things. But typically speaking, you would be looking at 2 to 3 sets of roughly 10 to 15 repetitions with a decent amount of rest. Now, when pregnant, there is an impact on your heart rate. It's referred to as maternal heart rate, and therefore we need to ensure that there's plenty of rest involved while training. So your 10, 20, and 30-second rest periods probably aren't appropriate. The recommendation in the research is about 1 to 2 minutes. And again, if 1 minute is something you can tolerate, then that is great, but as you progress with respect to your trimesters and time passes, 2 minutes is probably what I would advise personally. In addition to that, there is loads of things in the second trimester that you should be avoiding and not doing with respects to your actual training content. You want to avoid lying supine, which means lying flat on the ground and performing core-based work or resistance training work from that position. You want to avoid overhead lifting because in doing so that can place a little bit too much stress on the lumbar spine. So overhead lifting such as shoulder presses are probably a no, but a couple of really good alternatives would be an anterior front raise with dumbbells or a lateral raise with dumbbells. You would also want to avoid forward flexion at the hip and the torso. So good mornings are probably out, maybe deadlifts and lunges will become problematic at some point. So if you're looking to develop your glutes and you're looking to develop your hamstrings, getting down on all fours and performing things like glute kickbacks or fire hydrants is probably the way to go in that respect. And as you progress, the recommendation with respects to sets and reps changes ever so slightly. Now I've already touched on rest, but with regards to sets, you'd probably be looking at more 1 to 3. So again, if you can tolerate 3 sets of an activity, then absolutely go for it. If you can't, drop down to 2, and then if you can't tolerate that, drop down to 1. Remember, 1 set of maybe 4 to 5 activities with plenty of rest in between for anywhere from 10 to 15 repetitions, and if you adhere to that throughout your pregnancy, for as long as you can tolerate it, of course, you will experience the benefits introduced at the beginning of the video. So Rebecca, once again, all the very best with your pregnancy. Try to incorporate some resistance training and see how you get on, but don't forget to pop along and see your midwife and or your doctor before you do. Hopefully that resonated with some of you out there as well. Click the link, check what videos we've popped out previously, and keep an eye out for more content because there is always plenty more where that came from. Until next time guys, keep well.